Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
I'm digging into seat cushions right now trying to find a nickel so we can pay for tops.
Rising tension at the Capitol stalls negotiations.
School is supposed to be a safe place.
Louisiana students take a stand in the gun debate.
You all are wonderful, skilled craftsmen.
Angola prisoners and the connection to an evangelical giant. Hi, everyone. I'm Andre Morrow. More on those stories in a moment, but right now on SWI, the state we're in, other headlines of the week. LSU is recommending widespread changes to the Greek life system on campus in response to the death of a freshman student who pledged a fraternity this past fall. Among the changes recommended by a task force, eliminating hard alcohol at social events on and off campus, putting guest limits on parties, adding adult supervision to pledge events, giving amnesty to students who report medical emergencies. The parents of Max Groover, the student who died in the alleged hazing incident, told the Advocate newspaper they were most disappointed the task force delegated oversight to alumni and volunteers. The National Weather Service is predicting a rapid rise along the lower Mississippi River in the next 2 weeks, so forecasters will be watching as it approaches minor flood stage. In Baton Rouge, the river is forecast to reach 32 feet the first week of March, with minor flood stage at 35. In New Orleans, the river is expected to reach 12 feet in the coming 2 weeks. Minor flood stage is 17 feet. May is typically the time to watch river levels closely. Northeast Louisiana Congressman Ralph Abraham told Monday's Baton Rouge Press Club he's looking at a possible run for governor in 2019. Sounding like a candidate, he criticized the job performance of Governor John Bell Edwards. The Monroe native, who lives in Mangum, said his biggest problem at the state capitol is trusting what people say.
Don't tell me you're not going to raise taxes and then raise taxes. Don't tell me you're going to fix my road and don't fix my road. Don't tell me you're going to put money in the Highway Trust Fund where I almost have to get new shocks every time I drive down a Louisiana road. And I drive a Hummer. It's an old Hummer, but it's got good shocks. So it's that type of thing I just see over and over again, and I'm just tired of it.
A lawsuit accuses a state prison of punishing suicidal and mentally ill inmates by isolating them for months, even years, and chaining them to wooden chairs and opening windows to expose them to extreme cold. The 53-page class action lawsuit claims cruel and unusual punishment against David Wade Correctional in Homer. A spokesman for state corrections says prison officials deny the claims of the suit and call them outlandish. Secretary of State Tom Shedler is accused of sexually harassing an employee and punishing her at work for rebuffing his advances. The lawsuit filed Thursday says the harassment began about a decade ago. Shedler says his relationship with the accuser was consensual. Our program, Louisiana Public Square, takes on a topic important to our state every month, and in February, we discuss sexual harassment, where the distinction is made between improper and abusive behavior, and how the state and businesses are addressing harassment in the workplace.
The biggest mistake any employer can make is to minimize a complaint or a situation or not take it seriously. Now, not every situation that occurs in the workplace that's described as harassment really is harassment, but an employer should always take a concern of that sort seriously.
Drawing the Line, Sexual Harassment in Louisiana, airs Wednesday night, February 28th at 7 o'clock here on LPB. Legislators are back at it in Baton Rouge for their 5th special session in 3 years. The issue, the Fiscal Cliff. You've heard of it. LPB's Kelly Spires has been at the Capitol all week, and I'm wondering, have they made any progress on solutions?
Well, Andre, the same options that were on the table last year are on deck again this year. The question is more like, have any of the options become more palatable than they were in the past? And to answer that, we'll have to see how things play out.
The problems we face are not new. The fiscal cliff, as you know, is the result of more than $1.3 billion in temporary revenue set to fall off the books on June 30th.
Governor John Bel Edwards and lawmakers created that cliff themselves when they failed to pass real tax reform measures in 2016, Edwards' first session as governor.
That revenue was supposed to serve as a bridge to long-term tax reform. That was the promise we made to the people of Louisiana. Had we stuck to that plan, we wouldn't be here today.
You've heard it before, our tax code is full of exemptions, credits, and deductions that make rates for everyone higher. When lawmakers tried to fix some structural issues with the income tax in the early 2000s, they gave brakes on the sales tax, and later in that decade, they repealed the fix and left the brakes, called the Stelly Plan.
The structure of our tax system has been, at best, an ad hoc tax system in that it's, people just like me and you over the last 30 years have come up and said, you know what, I got a good idea. And we slap it on in there without any real understanding how that policy works with all the other policy.
Representative Barry Ivey sits on the critical committee in the House that is the first step for all tax changes. The committee is called Ways and Means, but some around the Capitol call it Ways to be Mean, because that's where most of the tax reform measures have met their end. And it's where all of the attention has been focused this week. Gene Reynolds leads the Democrats in the House. We spoke late Monday night after the governor's address.
The key, Ways and Means. Every special session, Ways and Means will not let things out. Therefore, we don't have a chance to vote on anything. So if Ways and Means does the same thing, then it's going to be tough.
First, a word about the lawmakers who sit on that committee. It's made up of 7 Democrats and 12 Republicans, which some argue roughly reflects the makeup of the House. But 3 of those Republicans vote no on every tax measure that makes people or businesses pay more money, whether it gets rid of exemptions or raises a rate. Folks around the Capitol call them the Gang of No. Representative Ted James is one of the Democrats on that committee.
The committee is heavily stacked with Republicans and Republicans that are part of what we call the Committee of No. Like, no matter what the issue is, they're going to vote no. And that was done by design. If the speaker was serious about really getting something done, he would put moderate members on that committee. He would put more Democrats on that committee so we can at least get something to the full House.
Committee members vacillated between frustrated and disinterested as they heard presentations about the same tax policy measures that have been before them in the past. One option that at first showed the most promise came from Representative Stephen Dwight out of Lake Charles. He wants to get rid of some exemptions on sales tax and keep 0.25% of the sales tax set to expire.
We know our back's up against the wall. We understand the cliff and what we're facing, and it's real. I think it's real. A lot of my colleagues think it's real, and it's time to make some of those difficult decisions. We need to find some revenue measures that everybody's comfortable with. It's going to require Republicans and Democrats to bring it in together to get us across the finish line.
But if you want to get a majority to pass a tax on that committee, you're basically going to need the 4 Black Caucus members to agree with you. And the Black Caucus does not want more sales tax.
I'm not in favor of anything in regards to the 5th penny right now. I know for a certain that I'm not going to vote to renew. I'm hearing conversations of a fraction of that penny. We know that that's a very regressive tax. It hits the poor the most. And then the only other thing that I hear from the other side, Medicaid reform. So it seems like they just want to amass an assault on poor people.
House Speaker Taylor Barra has also asked for 3 kinds of spending reform measures to go along with revenue this session. First, more eligibility requirements for Medicaid enrollees, like copays and work requirements, updating the formula that dictates how much the state can spend, and creating a website that shows how the state spends its money. Democrats also want a bill Representative Walt Leger is carrying that mimics the Stelly Plan fixes and would mean more taxes on the wealthy. After the oil price downturn of the last several years, one thing at the forefront of many minds is how taxes would affect big businesses and if they'd rather leave the state than pay more. Dwight's bill keeps more exemptions for businesses than other bills that were on the table, like one by Representative Kenny Havard.
I mean, that's just a part of doing business that they can plan on. What business does not want, and the reason they're not looking at Louisiana is because we're unstable. They don't know from week to week, from special session to special session to special session, what we're going to do. I'm digging into seat cushions right now trying to find a nickel so we can pay for tops.
Long story short, there's a lot of compromise that will need to happen in the next 2 weeks if lawmakers are going to get the state out of this budget mess.
I recognize that these are tough decisions. This is not easy. This is hard. And the ability to compromise will be essential to our success. By definition, compromise means that you get some of what you want in exchange for accepting some of what you don't want.
On Wednesday, James blocked Dwight's bill from getting out of committee, and then on Thursday, the Health and Welfare Committee denied the Medicaid program changes backed by both the governor and the speaker. But after some late-night negotiations on Thursday, lawmakers reached a very tentative plan that they'll try in committees scheduled for Sunday.
And you will be here this time next week to let us know what happens. Kelly, thanks so much. Well, the kids from Parkland, Florida changed the gun debate. The days since this latest shooting at a school in America where students and teachers were killed, it feels different than any of the previous shootings. Students are speaking out. People are speaking out. Students met with the president, as a matter of fact, at the White House. In a moment, we're going to talk with 4 Louisiana high school students about this entire event and hear their reaction to the shooting that killed 17 last week at this Parkland, Florida high school. But first, take a look at this.
What is unfathomable is Jamie took a bullet and is dead. I don't know what I do next. My wife is home. We are broken. But I can tell you, don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence. It happened in Parkland.
That was the father of a 14-year-old girl killed, one of the 17 at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School who never came home from school that day. With me right now, some students from Louisiana high schools. First, Chad Fuselier, a senior at Lafayette High School. Also, Aaron Wilson, a senior at West Feliciana High School. Madeline Catroni, who is homeschooled, a junior here in Baton Rouge. And Alex Baisden, a senior at Lafayette High School. Thank you all so much for being here. First of all, does anybody own a gun or use a gun?
No.
Yes.
That's a no or that's a yes?
Yes.
That's a no, okay. Are you in the minority at your schools?
Definitely at my school. Specifically because it's a rural area in St. Francisville. We have about 2,000 people. Everyone hunts. Everyone has a gun, so I'm definitely in the minority. 2 of you are from Lafayette. Lafayette, the scene of the movie theater shooting 3 years ago. You're nodding your head, Alex.
Yes.
You remember that well, don't you?
I was at the movies that day in a kind of weird coincidence at the same theater on the same day. But the thing about that shooting is how random it was. It was someone from out of town, obviously a very mentally ill person with a legally purchased gun. And he killed 2 people in our town, people who were social entrepreneurs and upstanding community citizens.
What about this shooting that feels different to you?
Well, it feels more close to us, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it's just our age range. Like, you can see pictures of the victims.
You're looking at the pictures right now.
And, like, you can see people walking in your hallway, and that's the scariest part. Because, you know, you feel like they have these gaps, and it's almost like a sigh of relief, but you can't.
You said you look at this and you see yourselves in these faces right here. There's some polls that have come out in the aftermath of the shooting. One poll showing now that 2/3 of Americans now support tougher gun laws, found that almost universally they support tougher background checks, that 67% support a ban on assault rifles. Now, Louisiana's gun laws, the right of each citizen to keep and bear arms is fundamental. There's no background check, no permit to own, to sell. In Louisiana, the sportsman's paradise, it's a gun-loving state. That's what we're known as. I want you to take a look at this video clip.
In response to your most recent tweet, where you said that the Democrats had not been able to get anything done when they controlled the House and the Senate and the presidential executive branch, how dare you? You are in that exact position right now, and you want to look back on our history and blame the Democrats? That's disgusting. You're the president. You're supposed to bring this nation together, not divide us. How dare you? Children are dying, and their blood is on your hands because of that.
That's David Hogg, a student. Your reaction to that, Aaron?
Well, it's true. It's the Democrats have been trying to do things, and when you have the friction between Republicans and the American public in general, it's hard to get things done. And whenever we have something like this happen, where you have the emotional side of it, you actually see the victims' faces, not just numbers. You see this surge in people wanting to try and fix this problem.
It sounds like a political issue to you, though. But do you think this is political still? Elise?
We live in an age where our politics is so polarized that we can't even agree on people's right to not get murdered in their classrooms. That's the most basic opinion I have about this. I mean, under the Clinton administration, assault rifles were banned on a temporary ban, and when the ban expired, no one did anything about it. Now assault rifles are the tool of choice for mass shooters, and no one seems to be seeing the connection.
Now, Madeline, it's interesting. You're homeschooled, so in a sense, you're removed from this, and yet when you look at those faces, you see friends that you know. So how do you feel about this? What's your reaction?
I think even though I'm homeschooled, I'm involved in a lot of circumstances that bring me all across the country. So I have friends in Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi and pretty much all across the United States, and to just see how widespread the issue is, it's really concerning, not only for myself, but for everyone that I'm around.
Chad?
I don't agree with the idea that people of any type can get their hands on without guns, and the idea that these are just weapons of mass destruction. I think this is proven time and time again after each shooting, and we're learning. And I don't know how many more lessons it's gonna take, how many more bodies are gonna pile up. Right. But people shouldn't have access to assault rifles. You don't go hunt deer with an assault rifle. You have no need as an American citizen to protect yourself with an assault rifle. There are institutions like law enforcement and homeland security and government-provided institutions that serve that need. We don't need these tools accessible that's only meant for killing. I've never seen a reason for a gun other than to kill somebody. You shoot to kill.
There's another video clip that I want to take a look at right now and then hear what your thoughts are. Call the police if you can. These are texts that were happening from students to friends, parents, people they were reaching out to as the gunfire was happening. Your reaction, any of you?
It's fear. You're gonna be scared. That's the normal reaction. Nobody expects to get shot up while they're trying to learn. School is supposed to be a safe place. And to live in fear while you're trying to better yourself and while you go to, I guess, prepare yourself to serve society is upsetting, to say the least. There's no reason we should live in fear as students, as kids. We were born into this. I was born in 2000.
So after Columbine?
After Columbine.
This has been normal procedure, if you call that normal procedure, but is that crazy to say that even?
Well, I mean, my little brother told me today he has escape routes planned in every single one of his classes, just in case.
You guys do have drills, or at least on the plans to practice some of these drills of an active shooter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Again, that's something that you don't have to deal with being homeschooled, but everyone else at your schools, is that right? Each of those schools. Do you think we're making progress? Do you think that we're seeing a change right now, maybe history in the making, in the aftermath of this, or is that too much excitement too soon?
I think there's puffs of hot air coming out from politicians, but I see change within the students. You know, there's this organized outcry from these kids coming together, like walking out of class or speaking to the news sources. And, you know, that's exciting to see because we're seeing a mobilization of the youth. It's sad to see that kids are galvanized by the deaths of their peers, but that's just grim reality that we have today, living in the world after Columbine.
The final thought from any of you.
I was speaking about what he was saying with students organizing. On my way here, I was getting text messages from people who wanted to organize at my school specifically. And that's actually really surprising considering the amount of gun-owning people in my parish. And so you can see this happening across the nation, and you see a movement towards trying to fix this.
You've certainly seen it in Florida. You've seen it in schools across America, and you're saying you're seeing it even in rural Louisiana.
The best thing I can say is if America wants to honestly call itself a developed country and in league with other developed countries in the world, it shouldn't be that easy to purchase a gun.
No.
And I also think that specifically talking about the change that'll come out of this, we see things in the Pulse nightclub shooting or the Mandalay Bay, and it's almost easier to forget about that happening because it's adults, and not to say that that's not significant, because it is, and it was tragic. But when you see it affecting children and people who are innocent, where they're going to learn, they're not at a nightclub, it's so much more horrific that they completely did not expect this. And I think it's much more tragic, and you'll see a change come out of that.
It's happened before, but this time so far it feels different with the students' reaction. The fact that you're here talking to us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us on this very important topic. Governor Edwards this week said he supports stronger background checks and a ban on bump stocks. President Trump on Thursday tweeted his support of background checks, emphasizing mental health treatment and barring those under 21 from buying rifles. Also, he is advocating arming highly trained teachers. We will be watching. The funeral for Reverend Billy Graham is March 2nd in Charlotte, North Carolina. His body will lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda for 2 days next week. Graham was America's best-known Christian evangelist for 60 years, becoming a pastor to presidents and preaching to millions in stadium events called crusades. He died Wednesday at the age of 99 at his home in Montreat, North Carolina. In 2006, at the age of 87, he briefly came out of retirement to visit post-Katrina New Orleans to preach against pessimism in the flood-ravaged city. Graham has a Louisiana connection to the caskets in which he and his wife are buried. The plywood boxes were made by Angola inmates. LPB told of the story 11 years ago.
That's when Franklin Graham came and to do the crusade, and then he goes in the museum, and we have a coffin in the museum and the hearse. And the big picture on the wall in the museum shows the horses with the hearse. He saw that, and he saw that the coffin, he couldn't believe it because he wanted a simple coffin. And they were simple people. They don't have elaborate furniture and all. They're like, you know, just real common people, the Grahams. But then he paid. He paid the $215 for each coffin. And he said his mom and dad would be honored.
It's a huge honor, you know, and I believe, you know, just, it's kind of like, you know, it's hardly words, you know, could even explain it. I mean, you know, you don't think that someone is, you know, as highly publicized and, you know, and world renowned as Mr. Graham and his wife, and then would want a casket from, you know, a prison workshop.
One of the stories in the life of the Reverend Billy Graham. During Black History Month, LPB is one of 4 stations nationwide to host a free screening of a new American Masters documentary about Lorraine Hansberry. She was the first African-American playwright to have a show produced on Broadway, A Raisin in the Sun, in 1959. We invite you to learn about her life as an artist and activist Monday night at 6 o'clock. That's February 26th at the Magnolia Performing Arts Pavilion at Baton Rouge Community College. To RSVP for this free event, email rsvp@lpb.org. Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge has named the 2018 Louisiana Young Heroes Award winners. Now in its 23rd year, the program celebrates the achievements of students who have inspired those around them and have made their community a better place. Here's a look at our young heroes. Garrett Byrne from Walker, a 12th grader at Louisiana School for Math, Sciences, and Arts in Natchitoches. Savannah Green, Winfield, a 12th grader at Winfield Senior High School. Megan Grimion, Baton Rouge, a 12th grader at St. Joseph's Academy. Sethan Ollier of Baton Rouge, a 12th grader at Catholic High School. Jarius Robertson of Garyville, a 9th grader at Lutcher High. Amanda Rougier of New Orleans, she's an 8th grader at Mount Carmel Academy. Garanicia Singleton of Baton Rouge, 12th grade at Scotlandville Magnet High. And Kari Stevens of Baton Rouge, 12th grader at Baton Rouge Magnet High School. The winners and their families will be honored on April 16th with a luncheon at the Governor's Mansion and a banquet at the Renaissance Hotel. This program is underwritten by Acadian Companies, CenturyLink, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, and Walters Papillon Thomas Cullens, LLC. And everybody, that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB On Demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs that you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and visit lpb.org where you can view more stories and leave us a comment. This program is available on DVD. Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.